Hello my dear viewers and welcome to a new video. I have to tell you great news that is actually bad news. I assume today is a Monday or a Tuesday depending on where this video will be uploaded, and the stats indicate currently Volibear is OP. We are so broken that we are currently the highest win rate jungler in League of Legends from Emerald and above. Who would have thought that with a buff that is actually a nerf after seconds nerfs, we will get a better win rate over time duration than before. I guess the League of Legends community has embraced the wild playstyle of Volibear in the recent 2 patches. Usually I always find myself dying alone a bit over the enemy backline, but these days more and more players tend to follow my reckless calls, and it turns out to be great and more impactful than before. They say having fun is contagious, and I don't think League have fun champions that can affect others' behavior in a simple and a straightforward way than Volibear. Well, Riot calls it anti-fun linear playstyle due to his tower disable. But the real fun is running to the enemy characters and slapping people left and right, then coming out on top of it alive and kicking. You might wonder, why is this bad news? Well, for 2 main reasons. First, the odds of you picking Volibear has gone down by miles. And second, we should expect nerfs and heavy nerfs that will put us back to where we were at the start of the season. Usually, whenever Riot makes a new champion or a rework or buff a champion and they expect him to get some popularity among League players, they always do the same thing. They make skins for that champion, and what do we have now? The High Noon series and Shockers. Volibear Thunderslinger isn't one of them. It means that the trade-off Riot offered us was actually a nerf, not a buff, and it turns out against their expectations, so I urge all of you to take this moment and play the bear as much as you can. They might try to nerf Volibear first with some item changes, then jungle spawn time and XP and gold adjustments, but I don't think they are enough. Then they will address us as an issue, based on their logic. The higher you climb, the more skill expression you must have with your kit. And Volibear in their dictionary is that champion new players pick to understand what is a bruiser and a tank, and the mechanics behind jungling. It turns out that this champion is actually very familiar with middle-aged family guys that most likely have a daughter or 2. We can see that Riot doesn't know their player base, and we don't know when to quit and find another game. So let's do what we do best. We spend our time constructively in the hope for having a good game before we go to sleep. Now that I got all of that out of my mind, I found that game that I needed to have a very pleasant good night. We have a Quinn top against an Urgo, and in the jungle the champion that is broken because he is 4-1 like a shampoo. The rest are almost irrelevant in this game. Our strategy that involved starting in the enemy jungle didn't deliver as expected. We ended up splitting the map and we went even with Udyr. The issue in this game is that the enemy have a high-paced composition. Those are the close games where plays never stop, and there is a fight in every corner. The only problem is that if your solo players are zombie, non-interactive characters, then you are most likely fucked and you'll appear as if you are feeding constantly. To be honest, I didn't yet find a solution to winning. Even if your team are trash, expect the jungle and teleport. But if I take teleport instead of flash or ghost, it conveys the message that I'm starting with a losing mentality. Either way, if we remove those games with troll and zombie players, I can say for sure that League of Legends is still a fun place to spend some time and improve on your gaming mechanics. Hence, to reduce the noise in this game, I went verbally and actively to help topside in a manner that I'll invest all of my resources in making sure he will succeed. I even said to the bot side to relax and enjoy the show. Don't make any plays and play passively for the early game. Once we start making plays around the mid lane, then we can go loose and start playing as a team. But alas, some guys are wired differently, as if they have locked up emotions from their society and come to League and just do stupid and bad calls to cure their feelings of oppression. Well, who am I to take from someone their only refuge to have some false sense of freedom? The only thing I ask is that you do that in a smart way, and if you are not helping, don't be the problem. A bit lack of coordination there, but we managed to get the flash, which is really good since I am taking residency in this lane for this game. This decision, of course, will cause a series of chain reaction, causing all the other lanes to join us on the top side. I should even expect Raken to come at a certain moment. Also, Gragas is having a free lane. This champion used to be a safe pick in pro plays for years. Similarly to Orianna. And my Syndra is playing with her feet, not her hands, and it seems she doesn't know how to ping enemy missing yet. Let's assume from this moment forward that everyone besides Urgo is a super minion, and reduce our expectations to the minimum until further notice, and see how this game will go first. As I always say, overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer. At first I thought he had some company, but sad lad, that was a misplay at its finest. You can tell that since the start of the game, we are forcing plays to happen towards our direction, hence dictating the pace of the game, and you would also assume that other players will benefit hugely from this, but no hope. They have showed no improvements whatsoever, and they're only making passive or bad plays mid lane and bot side. But our goal is setting our Giga Chad to success, and at this instance I can say for sure that our 2 early game goals have been reached, and it is time to move on to the real start of the game, where shit hits the fan And the tilt smack like a truck when you meet the real enemy in this game. Yes, the one and only 2 roles that can cure world hunger, and their beloved useless dragon buff. To be honest, I always hate making plays around bot side and I still don't know why. Sad life. I can smell it in the air. No pressure, and only death awaits. I started to develop this feeling whenever I am around other players. For example, the Rat and Wonder Boy are clueless. You can see it in their movements. And Syndra is always backing at the worst time possible or simply dead. Once the enemy showed that their real motive is to shut down the Giga Chad, I knew that I had to make a rash call to even out the odds. If they take 1 win, then we go for 2. And if we lose 1 objective, we go for an ace. A simple and rewarding rule, only if you respect it to the letter. Another tip to have in mind, never smite and always fake that your smite is on cooldown. This is like playing with the enemy jungler feelings. You will always get a kill or 2 out of this taunting since you will activate their 1 neuron for dopamine delivery, and that is taking an objective in the midst of the battle. Of course, you should take into account their spells and everything, but playing with the enemy mind is also one of your roles as a jungler. Even though we won this skirmish, but I am still not feeling the win. That weird feeling in your gut and those weird path and decision making from my allies always sets me off. It is as if I am waiting for the mistake to happen. That is why I'll try to stick to the top side and try to force plays around my piggy bank, and make sure we are winning not out of luck, but out of good gameplay and team coordination. We are lacking the damage to kill anyone, and my build is oriented to shut down Udyr and Quinn. In situations like these where the real mettle of your team is shown, and you can see how can players do with limited resources. Even a monkey can win with unlimited cooldown, but good players can make good plays out of desperate or hard moments. And let me tell you one thing, none of the players that you are seeing in the screen is doing a good job at this instance. Well, a somewhat above average play happened to enable us securing the Herald buff. Getting average results against hyper carries is not enough to win a game. For example, Quinn is not the type of champions that you can shut down the whole game. It is as if you need to prepare for winter and having 1 lamb will only last you the first week. The more you experience those hard loses, the more you itch in your mind the real power of a hyper carry. But the lazy behavior of my team indicate they don't care much about that, and it seems even the enemy team don't know their true potential. This shows that Emerald ELO is full with players that are not bad, but not that good at the game, which is good if you are seeking to enjoy the game more than winning. For example, this Udyr made the same mistake in a row, and if I were in his place I'll be trying to force plays on the bot side since Ashe got a better opening hand than Twitch. She can grant global map vision and catch people outside of their screen visibility. So yeah, we are winning, but every time we win, we get less advancement. And this is the feeling that I know for sure will lead us to a losing state soon in the future. Don't mistake my words that my decisions are always on point and correct. I can say you are somewhat blessed by not seeing all of my games where I ended up being the issue in the, especially when I get, for example, the shot calling support, or the uncooperative top laner that keeps dying whenever he's up. If everyone is doing selfish plays, then I should also experiment and display a selfish behavior, but it end up ugly and somewhat vexing and tilting. But in this game, the thing that enabled me to enjoy Volibear was the itemization. I was hesitant into going Riftmaker or Trinity, but I thought to myself, their team have what I call homing champions. They only engage when you use your resources, then might as well become the resource itself and go for Thanos Gauntlet and Boots of Swiftness. This build is not good and not bad. You can catch someone, and at the same time run away based on the situation. The only issue with this build is that you can't hard carry, and you will most likely lose if the game is even. And no one got that carry fire in him so that you can set up a perfect team fight to end the game. That was the best Gragas EU West. Right when he was dying, he went and gave me that tiny bit of boost to send his future waifu with him to the afterlife. I can tell you that 100% this team fight win was simply due to luck and Syndra broken kit, because I know based on the early game and the mid game, my team don't have what it takes to win team fights, yet here we are. Also, I rarely have my ultimate around the Baron call that comes after a team fight, but I always wanted to do this to induce some passive banter tilt to the enemy jungler. See you later, Mr. Shampoo. With this, we got our first foot at the front door of the win, but I am not so sure about the second one. Maybe the rat or the bead lady that will ruin it. Anyhow, that uneasy feeling is still around my mind even at this moment of the game. That was very satisfying, I might add. All thanks to Wonderboy courageous play. I'll scratch him from the list of the bad boys and put hit right under Urgo into the club of the fun guys. Another good thing about this build is that if you get it around the 20 minutes mark, you seem as if you are unkillable, unlike the Undying Despair build that needs some preparations. With this build, you are tanky from the get-go, and I think I should add a not somewhere this build is good against burst, and I might swap Spirit Visage with Kianic Rookern for full AP burst team. Not bad. Definitely not bad at all. You might wonder, where is my team? Well, they are gone with their Baron buff. I told you you should always trust your gut feeling. If you see someone and say, I don't trust this person, don't fool yourself and force your mind into a fake make-believe situation. Instead, prepare for the worst. The moment that everyone was dead, I forsake the hope of getting this dragon. After all, one Drake wouldn't change much the situation. Instead, now we need to make decisive calls that will end the game. Any more fooling around will turn out to be a loss. And I don't like to go to sleep after losing games like these. Here it is, the moment I have been waiting for, a team fight. And on top of that, a 4v4. This will go totally into our favor because they are missing Quinn, someone with a lot of kills, and they are still in this game due to that player and Gragas, but us, on the other hand. We got two main carries alive and ready to fight. The important part is that Urgo is getting the attention of our support. And the moment I said to myself, thank God this game is over. Right there where the cumulative misfortune that I have been feeling hits like a motherfucker. We gave a lot of shutdowns, and an open nexus will incite reckless behavior and unsure calls that will only make us do stupid calls instead of collecting our team and only push for winning fights. The fact that the game didn't end minutes ago can be an indicative that this one will be a game where you can learn something about you or about your gameplay and capitalize on that to improve yourself as a player. Roses are red, violets are blue, sugar is sweet, and bot side will always find a way to ruin your game. Trying to think like them to understand their call will only end up reducing your intellectual prowess. Hence, the only sane and rational thing to do is work with what you have and hope that it is enough. After this sad encounter, we have a pressing issue, and that Quinn shines at this stage of the game in this type of situations. She can make plays across the map and still join far fights to flip the tides of the battle. They made Splinter Cell a rat for a reason. He is wise and smart, not dumb and physically challenged to follow simple calls. What pisses me off is that he never ever won a single duel by himself, and I wonder where is this confidence coming from? I believe that fun gameplay is contagious, but also dumb performance is infectious when the right environment is set for it to flourish. So far, Syndra 1 combo was enough to keep us just over the edge in every team fight. Yet here she is, teleporting to backdoor. This was what broke the mental dam for me, and I went into a loop of monologue and self-induced tilt. And I could hear it in mind that this game was hopeless. For every step we make forward, someone kick us in the nut to send us down the hill and for free. I mean, at least let us start the fight, do your damage, then teleport you. Useless excuse for a mage if you want a backdoor take Lichbane or something meaningful. And here comes the special 2 for the price of 1. Backdooring is an art, and the likes of you can and will never grasp the true essence of a split pusher. Neither the time or the setup is correct for any of them to pull this off. But the idea is there. I just have to put the right person to the task. The one thing that these idiots don't understand is that we don't need a backdoor to win. We were winning randomly by grouping with me in the front, and they are throwing their damage at the enemy team. So we scratch everything and go with a somewhat fresh mentality. We are still in this game. Might as well get the best out of this experience. The enemy team really wants to win. They left Daddy Gragas to guard the Nexus, since he got what it takes to kill anyone in duel, and I agree with that call as well. The only thing that they didn't take into consideration is that his presence was a sort of a cock block for my playstyle. I wouldn't lie to you and say that I knew I wouldn't die, but even with my death I knew that if I land my E-spell, we will annihilate them all, and thankfully my inner simulation was on point for that. Here was my perfect setup for the Hisatsu technique in League of Legends. Once you find a spot where vision is denied, that is what we call a jackpot. But our support said, fuck that. The enemy are waiting for us in their base, and our odds of winning will skyrocket drastically if we manage to pull them off. And there is nothing better to do that than to disappear from the map. I mean, after this play, I was empty. Literally not a single idea crossed my mind on what to do to win. The enemy had us in a checkmate. And if we keep playing like this, we'll be worse than a loss. It will be a tilt loss into a lose strike for the upcoming week. And right where all hope was lost, and at the pinnacle of despair, something happened out of the ordinary, as if the stars and the planets perfectly aligned so that every one of us do his job as it meant to be. Perfection in the midst of absolute chaos. This win was totally outside of my reach, as if an unknown divine force helped me to get this by controlling the enemy team into making a good engage into a bad team fight. The one thing that made this fight into our favor is Twitch placement in the red buff. Truly a perfect positioning to deliver maximum damage output in the matter of seconds outside of enemy reach. Thank God I kept it sane until the end of the game, and I didn't go also for any stupid calls such as backdooring and running around against that composition. And with this, my dear viewers, our time together has reached to an end. I really appreciate your feedback and interaction with my posts. As always, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and feel free to drop a like and leave a comment. I am a firm believer that inspiration always comes outside of the box, and I am sure that any one of you would have made a different path towards the win or towards the tilt. And with that, I hope for you a good start of the week and an enjoyable time in whatever you like doing. Take care everyone, and peace.